Today we're at Thorpe Hall and I'm interviewing John Challis, famous for his role as Boycie in Only Fools and Horses and The Green Green Grass. Yet this is an actor that had to fight to become an actor. Was that right? Did you have to fight? Yes.
Well, yes. Because everybody put me off it. You know, everyone said. Remember, the first person who put me off it was the headmaster at my school. He said, "No. What you need is a safe, steady, secure job, gaining practical experience while passing exams and qualifying."
Yes.
He said you need a lot of strength of character, and quite frankly, you're a bit of a worm. You know, so. So being an impressionable youth, I took notice of him, and my parents were very against it. So I went off and started off in a estate agency.
Yes.
But I got sacked after 6 months, and I sort of ran away and joined a travelling children's theatre. It was like joining a circus, you know, but it was wonderful because I could indulge my fantasies, and I never lived anywhere for ages, months. You know,
so did you leave home to do your
Oh yeah.
Oh right.
Yeah, I was very comfortable in Epsom in Surrey, and I went to a place called Birkenhead.
Yes. Which
of course I'd never heard of, let alone been there, and kind of different world. But I loved that. I loved the fact of seeing all these different worlds. One of the first places I played in was Glasgow, which of course I'd never been to either, and that was quite an eye-opener, I have to say. So a lot of Scotland, and then toured about all over the place, went right down to Cornwall and back.
But these are just sort of small theatres that you were doing, is that correct?
No, schools.
Oh, schools?
Yeah, we played a sort of different school every day practically. So we were constantly on the move, trying to find bed and breakfast. But I loved it. I mean, in those days, the very early 60s, a lot of people would have a notice in their windows saying, "No theatricals." So, gypsies, tramps and thieves. I quite like the idea of, well, not being a thief, but being a gypsy and a tramp. And so I thought it was quite romantic. But it's just a wonderful time, really.
So how did you get your first break in TV?
Oh, in TV? Well, actually, this happened when I was in the Royal Shakespeare Company. It was about 1966 by this time, and I had an agent who said, "Oh, they're looking for people." A lot of television about in those days, and so you go out for a lot of interviews, and I got interviewed by somebody who put me into a show called The Newcomers.
Ah, yes.
And I played a larger-than-life a Jewish rag trade man with a big fast car, and he was a bit of a fast talker and all this, but I could do all that sort of those characters, and so she was very pleased with that. And
there's not much remains of Newcomers, does it?
No. It's never seen again, really. And during that time, I actually got to meet the Beatles.
Oh, really? Yeah.
Yeah, because they were doing a show called the Magical Mystery Tour, and you can imagine the world and his wife was going up for it, and my agent just had a hunch I might get on, and in fact she was right, I did, and because John Lennon loved the Goon Show,
yes,
which I did, so we said they're doing the voices from the Goon Show, and this is the Beatles, and I'm going, oh, what's happening here, really? I mean, it's extraordinary. And so yeah, we got on pretty well, and he said, "Have you got a favourite Beatles tune?" And before I thought about it, I said, "Actually, I prefer the Rolling Stones."
Oh, that went down well.
Well, there was a terrible silence, and I went, "I've blown it. What have I done? What have I done?" And eventually he said, "Actually, I think you're right. I prefer them sometimes too." But he had that sort of humour, you know, and they said, "Yeah, come and join us next week." But the trouble was I was unavailable because I'd already said yes to the Newcomers, and the dates clashed, and I couldn't do it. I mean, it's one of the big disappointments in my life, and
because you also appeared in Z-Cars.
Yeah, I was doing episodes of lots of things in those days. Yeah, I was in Z-Cars on a semi-regular basis, playing a station sergeant, and that was a big thrill for me because I suppose it was the first of the gritty police series,
Yes,
wasn't it?
yes.
Z-Cars, and very exciting. And so it's a big thrill to be in there.
Yeah, because it's even remembered now, isn't it?
Oh yeah,
The
yeah.
influence.
Brian Blessed is still around,
Yes.
still entertaining us.
Yes, yes.
And
Very distinctive voice.
Yeah, very distinctive indeed. Yes, my God. Yes, yeah, wonderful.
So, how was it? Because you almost came out of acting at one point, didn't you?
Oh yes, this is sometime later. Yes, I got a bit. It happens to me periodically. I'm a bit like that. So things are going okay, but I think, I want to do something else now. You know. But I was always like that at school as well. Butterfly brain, couldn't concentrate for 5 minutes. And when I'd had gaps out of work, I started to do some work for a guy in southwest London who had a little gardening business, and I'd always liked gardening and trying to grow things. So I went to work with him, and then a shop front became available, and we decided to sort of borrow some money from the bank, but ridiculous because I'm no businessman, you know, at all. But it started off okay. We did a lot of gardening work for people, and we bought a lot of plants and sold a lot of plants. But it was 1976,
Yeah.
which was a big drought.
Yeah.
And a lot of England didn't look like this at the time. It was brown, like South Africa, and so but he was no businessman either. He was a bit of a ducker and diver, really, and we just lost it all, really.
Right.
And then he did a runner and left me with the whole debt for the bank.
Oh.
So it's a disaster. So I rang home, Mum.
Can you bail me out?
Yeah, because I had no money. I was trying to, pay for my first flat at the time, and I just hadn't got it. And she did, bless her heart, bail me out. And I said, I'll pay you back. I said, one day, and I did eventually, thank God.
Yes.
But the other thing that happened was it was sort of catalytic, because the director rang me up and said, are you doing anything? I heard you'd given business up, but I got this part which would be absolutely right for in Doctor Who. And I grabbed it, that's like a lifeline,
Yeah.
like a drowning man, really. And it turned out to be one of the happiest jobs I ever did. It's about 1976 by this time, and it really sort of
Pulled you back.
yes, it pulled me back, I suppose, from the brink of giving it up, and just sort of made me understand this is what I wanted to do and what I love doing best.
Was that how you got in contact with John Sullivan? Is that right?
Oh no, that was about 5 years later. After Doctor Who, I found myself going to South Africa, of all places, with a Tom Stoppard play, because Tom Stoppard had seen me in a play in the Fringe. And I finished up in...
Is that right?
No, Boat Jest was another television I did.
Ah, right.
But Tom Stoppard had a play in London called Dirty Linen, the Arts Theatre, and he put me in that, and it ran there for a year. Eventually I went to America with it. This was a big thrill. I'd never seen America before, and to be out there working and on Broadway was just extraordinary. And I thought I was going to stay there, but eventually my agent's going mad and said he'd been offered a part in a show called Citizen Smith.
Ah, that's right. Yes.
And I near as a toucher stayed in New York, because things might be happening and so on. But I'd run out of money really, and I thought I'd better keep my hand in England. So I came back to do Citizen Smith, and of course Citizen Smith was written by John Sullivan. It's his first big hit, and I playing another policeman. I played a lot of policemen, and I just invested in with the voice of somebody I knew in a pub in southwest London, who had this curious, pedantic way of talking like this, and he thought it was very funny, and he said, I'm going to try and use that again one day, and he did. A year later, Only Fools and Horses started,
Yes.
and it's a different part. It wasn't a policeman, it was a second-hand car dealer, but so he said, I really like what you did, and so more of the same, and And that was 1981 by this time, and at that time I was trying to be a serious actor. So I was at the National Theatre by this time. But going off and doing this silly comedy show on telly, and little did I know at the time, that was the big break for me.
You just don't know, do you, when the big break is going to come along.
And then 20 years later, 2001, we did the last shows of that. You think, I can't believe it's been going for 20 years. And it's still talking about it,
Yes.
And it's still, everywhere I go, people...
There's reruns all the
mention it.
time.
Yeah.
I
Amazing.
mean, so it's one of because there's a lot of revival of shows, and you may well find that it'll probably come back in some way.
Well, yes, it depends on who writes it, though, because...
Yes.
But David Jason, who played Del Boy, of course, I mean, it's had a great success rehashing Open All Hours.
That's right, yes. When I first saw that, I thought, that's not going to work, but
it does.
It has.
The people like it. And I've done an episode last year of Are You Being Served?
Yeah.
Remember that? And that's, I mean, the rumour is that might go to a series early next year.
Yeah.
Because people love that humour. It's quintessentially British humour,
That's right. Yeah, we're looking. It seems as if at the moment we're looking back at things.
Yeah.
Rather
to happier times,
yes.
maybe. I don't know what it is, but there is a great resurgence in. Because there were so many, even young people, younger than me, I mean, which wouldn't be difficult, come up to me and say, "Oh, I wish they write stuff like that anymore. We never see that sort of stuff anymore."
No.
And they grew up with it,
Yes.
and they started watching because their parents introduced them to it. And now they've got kids, and they introduce their kids to it, and that's what they want for their kids.
Yeah.
So I think the desire for it is very strong, and that's why those shows do so well. And Marks and Gran, and that the one about the girls.
You've got me on that one.
So Linda Robson and.
Oh yes,
yeah.
yes.
Birds of a Feather.
That's it. Birds of a Feather.
That's
done on
back.
ITV.
Yeah.
Come back on ITV. Most peculiar, isn't
Yeah.
it? So it's not just the BBC. It could appear on anywhere.
Yeah, yes,
Sky,
I think so. Yeah.
ITV, anywhere.
Yeah.
So
I've just been doing a few episodes of Benidorm.
yes.
So I've done 6 or 8 episodes of that now, and again, it's the seaside, it's a naughty postcard
Yes.
type British humour. People love it, and that's been going for 9 series now,
Goodness me.
which means that the figures are right up there, for ITV to keep it going for that long. And it's a great show. It's just such fun, fun to do.
Well, thank you ever so much, John. That's very kind of you to.
Well, thank
agree.
you, Ian. Thank you. It's very, very nice of you to ask me.
That's all right. Yes. So,
Thank you. Thank you very much.
thank you.
I better get back to my story.
Yes, and I'll give you a copy of the interview if you want it.
Smashing.
Okay.
Thank you.